I've been working on this chair and ottoman built around 1920, and it opened up the door to a subject matter I've wanted to cover for a long time. Typically, furniture from the 20s, Depression era 30s, had a steel that just didn't quite have the strong tension of today's steel, so spring heights didn't always translate the same with the old steel versus new steel. Deciding what spring height can be really challenging, and I've come up with a way of measuring these out and giving a good guideline on how to decide. I'll start with one of the original springs from the ottoman. It's an 11-inch spring. And when it's tied and compressed, it looks like it needs to come down to about 5 inches. So I'll take this spring, place it on the scale, and compress it to 5 inches. When tying springs, I've found that anything much more than 10 pounds of resistance is hard to manage. At 5 inches, that's between 10 and 11 pounds. I wouldn't want to pull much tighter than that. Okay, I've placed in a new spring, 11 inches tall, and we'll push it down to 5 inches. That is impossible to manage. Alright, now I've laid in a 9-inch spring. Let's see how it translates at 5. That's still too unmanageable. I'll use this 9-inch spring as an example for an easy way to calculate. Generally, the new springs will compress 1/3 of their original height. So if we take 1/3 off of the 9, we're going to come down to 6, and we're right in that 10 to 11 pound range. Alright, I got the springs all tied in place. I pulled them as tightly as I could, and I'll show you how it all weighed out. Measuring from what would be the floor up to the top of my rail is 8.5 inches. The springs are pulled down as tightly as I could get them, and they've flattened out a deck of 10 inches from the floor up. Measuring for actual spring height, I'm at about 5 1/4, so at 10 pounds of pressure, I was exceeding this. All right, that's going to work out just fine. I'll fill in these the low areas along the gutter here with some flax straw, and I'll lay over a thin layer over the whole surface. Alright, I dropped over a layer of cotton and pulled it down with muslin. All went together nicely. The original springs in the chair look to be 11s and 8s. I'm going to go with 10s and 9s. Because of this 1-inch rise in the stuffing rail, I'll step up the back row from 9-inch springs to 10-inch. Alright, I got the spring stitched down to the webbing, edge wire clipped in place. Looks like these are going to level out just fine. Well, okay, those springs pulled down just right. Next up in this project, I need to stuff these back pillows with kapok. A friend and former student made this bazooka for me. I've never used it with kapok before, so we'll see how it works. Kapok is a very silky fiber. It comes from tree seed pods in Java. It's similar to what we commonly know here in the U.S. as milkweed plant. Makes a nice pillow, but eventually it does break down and needs to be replaced. I'll slip this into the pillowcase, and I've added the cardboard tube so I can feed deeper into the box. This stuff will probably blow all over the place, so alright, let's see if it works. No. Okay, here's the new plan. I didn't realize my air pressure wasn't turned up all the way. I found that I need to feed this in by hand, but trust me, it's a lot cleaner than how I used to pick it and stuff it by hand. I've been blowing kapok into this cover for an hour now. I've worked with the cording and pulled the seams out tight, occasionally given a brisk puff to blow it out into the corners. It has a nice down-like feel to it right now, but kapok initially needs to be filled much tighter. I weighed the old kapok I took out of the previous covers. It was 3 pounds, so compensating for loss between the two pillows here, I put in 3.5 pounds. I've packed them pretty firmly, but they have a nice resilience. Okay, I got the chair all closed up, and now I need to deal with a badly broken face panel. Well, it was quitting time yesterday when I got this panel glued up and clamped, and I think it's going to take 2 sessions to get this one back together again. Alright, that didn't go too bad. I'm going to moisten this piece of duck cloth and work the hide glue into it. I've watered down the glue a little bit to make it a bit easier to spread. Need to keep working. The glue needs to be kept warm. Okay, I'll press this into the face of the panel. I'll apply a little heat to keep the glue active. Alright, I'll get this all pressed in and trim off the excess after it's dry. All of these small pieces went together quite well, but this end grain break here, I'm going to have to double reinforce it on both sides. Okay, I gave this a few hours to dry and it's time to wrap it up. Well, all right, this chair is finally ready to go to the floor.